Alright, hello everybody, what's going on? Sorry for that very small delay, I had to take care of something very quickly, but we are here. Hello, how is everyone doing? Hello chat, it's me, your Cosmic Dragon VTuber NJChef. And we are finally getting to a long overdue and long delayed episode of the Warhammer 40K lore deep dive. Because for the longest time, I swear I thought this episode was cursed. I thought this episode was cursed. There were so many things happening IRL that I was forced to either delay or reschedule, or just outright cancel this episode of this stream, rather, of Warhammer 40K lore deep dive. But we are here today, and we're finally ready to rock and roll. And this episode is dedicated to one of the more excuse me, shall we say, controversial factions in the Warhammer 40K universe. Ever since their inception, they have been either beloved or loathed by the Warhammer community at large. I think they're hilarious until I have to fight them. Then they're just a pain in the ass. Until I get up close and personal with them, and then they're very, very, very easy to take care of. Yes, chat, today we learn all about the greater good. Today we're talking about the Tau Empire, the youngest race, the youngest faction in the timeline of Warhammer 40,000. How young are they? In the wider expanse of the Warhammer 40K galaxy, which is the Milky Way galaxy, by the way, the space they control is this tiny ass little section of the Milky Way right down here, in an area known as the Damocles Gulf, in the galactic southeast. One of the areas, if I can borrow a phrase from Star Wars, actually, an area that's some might call wild space. Some of the more uncharted regions of the Warhammer 40K galaxy is where the Tau Empire first took root. It began on their world of, unsurprisingly, Tau. And since then has expanded to include many other worlds and alliances with other alien races, to encompass quite a decent amount of territory that the Tau Empire now control. Is it as galaxy spanning as the Imperium of Mankind? Absolutely not. That's like comparing an ice cube to an iceberg. It's really not that fair of a comparison. However, through 4 different phases of expansion, the Tau have managed to lock down their territory within the Damocles Gulf and secure all of the worlds around their homeworld of Tau. Very important worlds, such as Viorla, Daleth, Kelshan, Vashya, and Dianoi. I am probably going to be struggling with Tau pronunciation this entire stream. I apologize. Now, Chef, I'll bet you're wondering to yourself, this says that the Tau have had 5 different spheres of expansion. Technically, yes, that's true. Their first phase, their second phase, their third phase, and their 5th phase. Wait, what happened to phase 4? We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Well, yeah, no, there's a reason why I have a lot of tabs open, Yashi. There's a reason why I have a lot of tabs open. Well, first and foremost, the first thing we need to talk about in the bounds of the Tau Empire and Tau culture, we have to understand and we have to grasp the one thing, the one philosophy that all Tau and and by extension their allies embrace. This is the one cultural philosophy that holds the entirety of the Tau Empire together. And that is the concept of the Tau Va, the greater good. What is the greater good? Well, in the beginning of the Tau's history, they were living under what was known as the Mon Tau, or the Terror, or the Age of Death. If you want to put that in relation to imperial dating in universe, it was around the 37th millennium. So about 3 millennia before the galaxy basically started tearing itself apart and the Tau made themselves known to the wider galaxy. This will come in handy, or this will become relevant much later on. So, during the Mon Tau, their age of terror, their age of death, basically their age of fear, which is somewhat equivalent to the Imperium's age of darkness, is when the 4 tribes of the Tau, of the ancient Tau, were at war with one another. The Tau of the plains were at war with the Tau who lived within the cities, and the merchants who sailed the rivers on planet Tau tried and failed to broker a peace between the Tau of the plains and the Tau of the cities. Okay, my alerts are working again, thank God. Theophania, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the lair. You've joined me in another episode of Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive. We're talking about the Tau today. How are ya? What was I talking about? Oh, yes. The war between the Tau of the Plains and the Tau of the Cities was raging on, and a peace could not be brokered. It was during that civil war of the ancient Tau that the Ethereals, mysterious Tau whose origins to this day kind of remain unknown and or shrouded in mystery, first appeared. Love the YouTube channel. Saw you doing Warhammer things. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love Warhammer. I've been for anyone else new in chat. I have been playing Warhammer 40K tabletop since about 5th edition. And I'm just in love with the lore, the greater lore of Warhammer 40K. It's fantastic. I love it to death. But thank you, appreciate it. Thank you so much. So during the 5 seasons of the Civil War during the time of the ancient Tau, negotiations for some sort of brokered peace kept breaking down. One side or the other would keep rejecting calls for peace, and that's when the Ethereals, these mysterious Tau with unknown origins, stepped in. Within an hour, they had gained access to the leadership of not just the Tau within the city, but the Tau on the plains as well. They had spoken to both groups of leadership, and by dawn, a war that had been lasting for 5 entire seasons was brought to an end, and the tenet of the greater good, working together for the betterment of the larger Tau race, was established. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, how could a war that's been going on for 5 whole seasons be ended in less than a day by these mysterious beings showing up and just basically instantly brokering a peace. There are a lot of theories. There are a lot of different theories. We'll go over them as we get to them. But the gist of it is, the greater good is the founding principle of all Tao society. The system of Tao Va is based on a caste system and is designed to allow for the advancement of the entire Tao society towards a more successful, prosperous existence. So here was contention number one. All the way back when the Tao were first introduced to the realm and the lore of Warhammer 40,000, that was the first point of contention that a lot of old Warhammer 40K fans had with this faction. It has been established in the ongoing lore of Warhammer 40,000 that in the 40,000 millennia, in the 40,000 years, in the time frame that this game takes place in, technology has either stagnated at best or regressed at worst because of the actions of the cult Mechanicus, who view any sort of modernization or iteration or improvement on technology as blasphemous. And then here come the Tau, who are just like, oh, yeah, no, we upgrade all of our shit all the time. That's why all of our stuff looks so sleek and modern and probably outclasses most other technology in the galaxy. And everyone kind of collectively lost their shit. Like, why? So that was sort of the first point of contention. The second point of contention is that the way that the Tau framed themselves also went against the grain of the setting of Warhammer 40K, which was everything's like there's no hope. Everything is supposed to be sort of grim, dark, and terrible. And here's all of a sudden this ray of hope in the Tau Empire. We're like, no, we're not going to consign ourselves to a slow and painful death. We are going to keep trying to advance our technology, our society, our science, and make a better place for ourselves in the galaxy. Which is what this entire philosophy of the greater good is supposed to encompass. There is there's an underlying climate of like tension there, because as with all things in Warhammer 40K, not everything is as good as it seems, especially with a faction who make themselves as idyllic as the Tau do. So, that is the basic tenet. This is the core tenet of the Tau Empire. Everybody works together for the betterment of the race as a whole, so that we can all lift ourselves to a better and brighter future. Asterisk, 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 because like I said, there's something underneath this veneer, trust me. What faction do I play? Since 5th edition, I have been playing Space Marines pretty consistently. Very specifically, Salamander's chapter Space Marines. Because we're the best bros of everyone in the galaxy, and if you say otherwise, I'll burn you to a crisp. Although I have also recently started an orc army because orcs are hilarious, and I'm having an absolute blast coming up with all different sorts of lore for my very specific WoW orcs. So yeah, they're great. Short answer: Space Marines and orcs, the classic duo of Warhammer, as it were. Another note of the greater good is this ritual of Ta Lysera, which is basically a ritual, a bonding ritual that members of groups within the Tau hierarchy and military will undertake with one another. And what it basically boils down to is it's their own little microcosm of the greater good as a whole. What the ritual of Talisera essentially promotes is that, say, for example, a group of Tau Fire Warriors, which is the most basic infantry unit within Tau society, within the Tau military. If they undergo the ritual of Talisera, they are sworn by blood to one another to fight to the death should one of them fall, or at the very least, to sacrifice their own lives for the betterment of the greater good. Be it the squad, be it the entire army, be it the entire Tau race as a whole. So there's another sort of red flag. It's basically a suicide cult. If one goes down, they all have to go down, or like they all have to fight to the last. It's a little wonky. Like I said, there's nothing in the Warhammer 40K universe is ever as good as it seems on the surface. The Tau Empire are definitely not, are definitely also under that sort of rule of thumb, shall we say. So, for thousands of years after the Tau Empire was first brought together under the banner of the Ethereals, they underwent... I have to reopen this tab, silly me. They underwent what they like to call spheres or phases of expansion to expand beyond their original homeworld of Tau and basically start gobbling up worlds within this whole area. And they were able to do so for millennia because essentially the Damocles Gulf was cut off from the wider Imperium for centuries, for millennia. It was so far off in like basically the Wild West of the Imperium's territory that barely any explorators or Space Marine chapters or any sort of other Imperial governing body even knew of the Tau in that area. The first humans to make contact with Tau ambassadors were more than likely what are known in the 40K universe as rogue traders. Now, I could spend an entire episode on the concept of a rogue trader, but in summary, if you're familiar with the ancient practice of privateering back in the old days, where certain empires or militaries would hire out what are essentially pirates and mercenaries to work for them and fight for them, and they would do so as long as they were paid well and paid on time. Rogue traders are essentially that. They carry what are known as letters of marque, which are signed by the High Lords of Terra, which, in a nutshell, gives them carte blanche to do whatever they wish in terms of exploring the space in between the stars of the Imperium. If they want to report a new planet and turn it over to the Imperium, they can for a large sum of money. If they would much rather, say, find a new and uninhabited planet, claim it as their own, they are well within their right to do so. There are rogue traders in the Warhammer 40K universe that have more influence than some Imperial governors. Which is, again, why I could probably spend an entire episode of Warhammer 40K lore deep dive on just rogue traders, but I digress. The point I'm trying to get at is, rogue traders were more than likely the first humans that the Tau Empire ever came in contact with. They were the ones who had first contact, more than likely, with elements of the Tau Empire. specifically the water caste. And I will get into the Tau caste system very shortly. But what in general, what the Tau water caste are is they're negotiators, they're politicians, they're mouthpieces. They're the ones who sweet talk other factions and other races into joining the greater good. Like, look how nice we are. We share our science, our technology with one another. Why don't you join us? This could benefit both of our peoples quite nicely. The most dangerous of the Tau. Exactly. Exactly. Never trust a Tau water caste. Never trust the Tau water caste delegation. Absolutely not. But over the millennia, the Imperium at large began to realize something was happening in this area of space. Something very, very unfortunate was happening in this area of space, because the region of space in which the Tau Empire occupied is known to the Imperials as the Damocles Gulf. And there were Imperial colonies in this area. Imperial colonies that the Imperium of Mankind were trying to reconnect with after millennia of silence. What they found was all of their Imperial colonies gone. They weren't destroyed. However, they had been absorbed into the Tau Empire. And if there's one thing you need to know about the Imperium of Man, and I say this as a Space Marines player, I acknowledge what's terrible about the Imperium of Mankind. Trust me. I acknowledge what is absolutely awful about the Imperium. They are absolutely xenophobic. One of the core tenets of a faction within the Imperium known as the Ordos Xenos. They literally have an entire section within the Imperial military dedicated to the cataloging and eradication of all alien life they come across. And the phrase that drives that tenet, that military arm of the Imperium, rather, is quite simply, suffer not the alien to live. So when they saw what they viewed as Imperial citizens shirking and rejecting the Imperial creed to live alongside aliens, I kind of sound like that History Channel dude from Ancient Aliens. Aliens! They lost their shit. So the Imperium of Mankind did what they do best. They launched a crusade. In this case, the Damocles Gulf Crusade. And Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Right. The goal of the Damocles Gulf Crusade was simple. Eradicate Tau forces within the Damocles Gulf, bring those worlds back into the Imperial fold, destroy any and all traces of this new and upstart Tau Empire. The Damocles Gulf Crusade was almost an absolute failure for the Imperium of Mankind. Because they went into the Damocles Gulf Crusade thinking to themselves, okay, we have elements of 2 Space Marine chapters. We have elements of the Imperial Guard and the Imperial Navy. These upstart aliens, they think they can grab a few of our colonies we'll show them the true might, the true terror of the Imperium of mankind. They were almost annihilated. They were almost destroyed to a man. For two reasons. Number one, the greatest Tau commander to probably ever live, Commander Puretide. He was the one in command of the he was the one in command of the forces during the Damocles Crusade. He led the defense of the Tau world of Dalith, and not only stopped the Imperial push into Tau territory, he pushed them back. And it was not just because of Puretide's tactics. It was for two other reasons on top of Puretide's tactics that the Tau were able to blunt the Imperial assault during this crusade. Number one, the Imperium did not realize just how technologically advanced the Tau were. Their tanks used anti-gravity, or continue to use anti-gravity technology to bear them aloft, and thus they could move much faster than other Imperial armored units. Same goes with their air forces. Tau aircast pilots were either just as good or better than Imperial Navy pilots. And probably the two biggest things that the Imperium as a whole underestimated were two iconic pieces of Tau weaponry and technology that would combine together to become an absolute terror for Imperial forces, not just during the Damocles Gulf Crusade, but to Imperial forces still today. Tau railguns and Tau battlesuits. These are two pieces of technology that the Imperium of mankind at the time did not understand or had lost the ability to understand or even recreate. Railguns, they're kind of rooted in science today, let's be real. Using magnetic fields to accelerate a solid projectile at hypersonic speeds, and it just punches through Imperial armor, destroying everything in an instant. A single railgun shot could punch through multiple Imperial tanks, multiple armored carriers. There were even Tau air elements that were armed with rail weaponry, with railgun weaponry, and they were just tearing Imperial air forces out of the sky, destroying elements of the Imperial Navy in space, vaporizing swaths of Imperial infantry on the ground. They had the Imperium was completely caught on the back foot with this kind of technology. What would make a railgun more devastating? Put it on a hyper-mobile battlesuit. This is the crux of Tau technology. This right here is Tau technology brought to the forefront. Tau battlesuits are something that Imperial forces had no idea even existed in the galaxy. They didn't know this level of technology existed anywhere in the galaxy before. They can fly, they can hover, they can take multiple different variations of weapon loadouts for literally any situation. If a team of XV-8 crisis battlesuits were called upon to drop in the middle of enemy infantry in order to disrupt enemy lines, burst cannons, flak rocket pods, and heavy flamers. If an XV-88 broadside battlesuit was tasked with locking down a ridge to destroy enemy armor, 4 railguns would be mounted on their shoulders, as well as multiple rocket pods on their arms, specifically designated to pick out targets and destroy them at range. XV-25 stealth battlesuits wreaked havoc with Imperial communications, because they would phase out of stealth, become visible, destroy their target, phase back into stealth, and use their jump jets to get out of enemy line of fire before the alarm could even be raised. Needless to say, the Damocles Gulf Crusade did not go well for the Imperium of Mankind. They did what they would like to call a tactical withdrawal. A tactical retreat. Make no mistake, they were fleeing from the Damocles Gulf. They abandoned the Damocles Gulf and let it be fully absorbed into the Tau Empire. Make no mistake, the Imperium of Mankind lost the Damocles Gulf Crusade. But the Imperium did what they did best. They made sure to slash and burn every colony on their way out. Because for the Imperium is one thing, it is petty. And they reasoned if they could not make use of the colonies within the Damocles Gulf Crusade, they would make sure that the Tau Empire would not make use of them either. So they bombarded, they glassed those planets, and it took hundreds of years for the Tau Empire's Earth caste to make them livable again. Yeah, the Damocles Gulf Crusade did not go well for the Tau Empire. Or did not go well for the Imperium of Man, rather. Not at all. Not at all. So with that massive setback, the Tau could then concentrate on once again increasing their own territory around and within the Tau Empire, the then fledgling Tau Empire. So this is when they established their spheres of expansion. This is what the Tau would label as, or how they would go about their plan to acquire more territory for the Tau Empire, right? The first sphere of expansion was launched directly from their homeworld of Tau, lasting roughly a millennium. And it was in a period of unprecedented growth that saw 8 fully settled septs or other worlds within the Tau Empire established, as well as the assimilation of the first of many allied races within the Tau Empire. The first and probably the most prominent of which being the Kroot. We'll get to the Tau allies very soon, don't worry. The second sphere of expansion was launched by the ethereal Aun Wei and was spearheaded by Commander Puretide. This is when the Damocles Gulf Crusade occurred, was during the second sphere of Tau expansion. And as a matter of fact, it was because of the second sphere of expansion that the Imperium first took notice of the Tau Empire. When all of their Imperial colonies and Imperial stations within the Damocles Gulf started going silent one by one. That is when the Imperium first really started taking notice of the Tau. Like, what the hell is going on out here? Why are so many of our colonies starting to go quiet? What's going on here? What are they talking about? The greater good. What is this bullshit? There's a reason why a lot of people in the 40K community make the joke that the Tau believe in peace through superior firepower. The Tau believe in peace through superior firepower. That is the meme. That is the meme that follows the Tau to this day. Dialjo6667, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lair. How are you? Welcome, welcome. So, the third fear... Let me try that again. The third sphere of expansion was spearheaded by probably the most influential and powerful ethereal to ever come to lead the Tau Empire, Aun Va. Probably the most influential ethereal to ever head the Tau Empire. His title is literally Master of the Undying Spirit. And as a matter of fact, and while we'll probably have to take a detour into Tau naming conventions, but Aun Va isn't his full name. If you want to know his full name, Aun O Tau, the An O Tau Akvaya Va Denta. Tau naming conventions are weird. Just call him Aun Va. It's simpler. It's simpler. I hear 40K and I came in to hear weebs. I've done other episodes of the Warhammer 40K lore deep dive. Actually, if you're curious, you can find them on my YouTube channel. We've covered Space Marines, we've covered Orcs. We've done a general overview of the Warhammer 40K timeline. We've covered Imperial Guard. Now we're on to the Tau. But yeah, Aun Va was the one who spearheaded the third sphere of expansion, and it was probably the biggest territorial grab that the Tau have done to date, besides the fourth and fifth expansions, which we will get to very shortly, don't you worry. There's a reason why the Tau Empire don't like talking about their fourth sphere of expansion. We'll get to that. It was during the third sphere of expansion that Aun Va tasked one of Pure Tide's two great proteges, Commander Shadowsun. Commander Shadowsun is one of, if not the greatest, Tau commander that has ever lived. Although, me personally, I'd say she has one better. She has one contemporary, and ironically enough, he is also a student of Commander Pure Tide. What Aun Va tasked... Oh my goodness, hello! Mischief Gaming, thank you so much for the 4-person raid. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the lair. The name is NJChef. I am a Cosmic Dragon VTuber. I love all things Warhammer 40K. And today, you have joined me on my latest episode of a series I like to call Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive. We're covering everyone's favorite, quote-unquote, space weebs. The Tau. How you doing? Welcome. What were you up to tonight? I hope you had a wonderful stream. Thank you for bringing your community in. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But yes, Falling Lightwood, hello, welcome. How are you? How are you? Thank you for the hype. I appreciate it. But yeah, we're talking about the Tau today. And we literally just got to their third sphere of expansion. We're talking about one of probably my two favorite Tau characters in the entire army, being Commander Oshashera, aka Commander, excuse me, Commander Shadowsun. She was amazing. Just a nice few hours of Minecraft and chilling. Oh, that sounds lovely. That sounds awesome. I haven't touched Minecraft in a hot minute. I might have to go back for that in a second. That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for thank you for the raid, and thank you for dropping your community here. Welcome, 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 everyone. How are you? But yeah, for a quick catch up, my name's NJChef. I am a Cosmic Dragon VTuber. This is just the latest episode in a long running series of streams and also videos on my YouTube channel that I've been doing called the Warhammer 40K lore deep dive. And we just so happen to be covering the Tau today. So welcome, everyone. How are you? How are you? So, where was I? Yes, Alnva tasked Commander Shadowsun to not only retake and repopulate territory they had lost in the first Damocles Gulf Crusade, but also push back all Imperial elements left within the Damocles Gulf Crusade and push them further, expanding outward the territory of the Tau Empire. Haven't heard Warhammer in a hot minute. I have been playing Warhammer 40K since 5th edition. So I've been in this hobby for quite a while. I've been in this hobby for quite a while, shall we say. If anyone wants to know what factions I play, Space Marines and Orcs, specifically Salamander Space Marines and Freebooter Orcs. Because the concept of orc pirates is just something that's absolutely hilarious to me, and I love it. Yeah, I've been playing since 5th edition. And why salamanders? Because I love them. They're literally my favorite Space Marine chapter. They're not assholes to regular human beings. Literally the only Space Marine chapter who gives a shit about normal human beings. Like, really. Costs $0 to not be an asshole, and the salamanders are not assholes. I love them. I love them to death. Salamanders are great. They are the best. Holy shoot, you've been playing since before I was born. Oh, don't tell me that. I feel old now. Oh my goodness. I know bits of Age of Sigmar and not much. Age of Sigmar is oh man, I'm not gonna lie. Age of Sigmar lore is a bit confusing to me. I know 40K lore better than I know Age of Sigmar lore. I'm not gonna lie. I know 40K lore better than I know Age of Sigmar lore. But yeah, it was during this sphere of expansion that Commander Shadowsun was tasked with destroying all elements of the Imperium left within Tau space, push them back, and also claim yet more territory for the Tau Empire as a whole, in which she greatly exceeded. Honestly, she exceeded in her task. 2 Space Marine chapters, specifically, were sent to bolster Imperial defenses in this new Tau bid of aggression. And honestly, they were the 2 Space Marine chapters that were probably best suited to dealing with the high-speed tactics of the Tau military. The Raven Guard and the White Scars. The Raven Guard, being masters at stealth, would be able to outflank and outduel their Tau counterparts with stealth battlesuits, where the White Scars would be more than capable of keeping up with the high-speed tanks of the Tau with their own speed, land speeders, and bike units. And it was, as a side note, it was during this campaign that the chapter master of the Raven Guard Space Marines would be killed in action. And the Shadow Council, the group of captains within the Raven Guard Space Marines chapter, would then vote unanimously to promote Captain Kayvon Shrike to become chapter master of the Raven Guard. Just a fun fact, because as a fan of the Raven Guard Space Marines, and specifically Cave on Shrike himself, I needed to point that out, because that's some big character progression right there. By the way, Fallen Lightwood, thank you so much for the follow. I really do appreciate it. Welcome to the lair. You're a kobold now. However, it would not just be the Imperium who would suffer a major loss during this conflict, because during the Battle of Mulgaloth Bay, probably the thing that the Tau Empire feared the most came to pass. Aun Va was assassinated. An Imperial Kulexis assassin managed to infiltrate his way into that bunker where Aun Va was hiding and successfully killed the leader of the Tau Empire. But the only person who knew of this was Shadow Sun, because she made sure to keep that news under wraps, because if news got out that Aun Va was dead, that Tau Empire as a whole would collapse into anarchy. So she basically instituted a cover-up. No, what are you talking about? Aun Va survived. He was injured. Our great leader was injured. But it's okay, he survived. And he still continues to lead us today. You won't see him for a while, but I assure you he's alive. Don't ask questions. So it's basically down to the Council of Ethereals and Shadow Sun herself, who are basically running the Tau Empire at this point. Third sphere of expansion was rocky for the Tau. And then we get to the fourth sphere of expansion. Oh boy. Okay. So, what happened? What happened during the fourth sphere of expansion for the Tau Empire? Well, the Tau Empire had their sights set on making themselves a greater presence within the wider galaxy. They wanted the Tau Empire to be able at some point to stand toe-to-toe with the Imperium of Mankind, who the Tau saw as their greatest rival within the galaxy. And I realize how silly that sounds, because that's like a guppy slapping a shark across the face and challenging him to a duel. I know how dumb that sounds, but bear with me. It was around this point in the Tau's history where they were starting to become noticed, not just by the Imperium, but by other elements within the galaxy. The Orcs, Commander Oshova, was hard-pressed in claiming Tau territory back from an Orc wall. The Necron's Sautek dynasty was pressing them in from the west, slowly retaking worlds that they claimed were theirs, even though they were now under the banner of the Tau Empire. The Tyranid High Fleet Gorgon, started making inroads into Tau territory within the Tau Empire. And that was starting, and they were basically facing a war on multiple fronts. And it was during this great, time of trial for the Tau Empire as a whole, when Abaddon was successful in Cadia and opened the Cicatrix Maledictum and tore the galaxy asunder. So remember what I said a long time ago during my first episode of Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive. When the Cicatrix Maledictum, when the Great Rift opened, there were warp storms and psychic awakenings and demonic manifestations all over the galaxy. And the Tau Empire, the poor Tau Empire, is stuck right down here. Stuck behind an arm of the Cicatrix Maledictum, cornered by the Hadix anomaly and the Necron Sautek dynasty within their same sector of space. They were cornered down here when the Cicatrix Maledictum opened up. They had no clue what was going on, by the way. Yes, they were cut off. Yes, they suffered great losses during this time. But here's the thing about the Tau that I have failed to mention on purpose until this very moment. The Tau, as a species, have no presence in the warp. The Tau, as a species, are incapable of producing psychers, people who manifest psychic energy, people who can control the warp as the Imperium, as Chaos know it. They have zero warp signature. They don't even know what the warp is. And that is literally the only thing that has been stopping them from expanding outwards, because their faster than light technology isn't faster than warp travel. Cicatrix Maledictum just sounds nasty, even before anything having to do with the Warhammer universe. That's fair. That's fair. I know. Also, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Sun Seal. I'm gonna say Sun Seal because that's kind of what your name looks like. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize. But yeah, no. Officially, it's known as the Cicatrix Maledictum. Everyone just calls it the Great Rift. I should probably just call it the Great Lift, because it's way easier than trying to pronounce whatever the hell this is. Let's be real here. But yeah, when the Great Rift opened up, the Tau were completely cornered down here, even if they had no idea what the hell was going on. Most people just call me Son. All right, Son. Yeah, thank you so much. Found you through your B. Dylan Hollis videos on YouTube. Well, thank you so much, Son. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. A lot of people have found me through that. And like, I love Dylan. I love Dylan to death. I love his content. It's so good. It's so good. A lot of people. Side note. A lot of people have been leaving comments on YouTube and messaging me, Chef, when's part 4? Are you doing a part 4? Please do a part 4. I'm working on a part 4, don't worry. The next time we do a just chatting stream here on Twitch, we're gonna dive back into Dylan's videos again, don't worry. Because I know I've missed a few. There will be a part 4, don't worry. Wait, there was a part 3? Absolutely there was a part 3. 100% there's a part 3. Hold on, let me open up another tab on my other monitor. I take it to calling Dylan the gay because he's just so damn happy. He's the best and I love him. Dylan's wonderful. But yeah, if you are curious, hit up my link tree for the link to my YouTube. There is a part 3 in case you missed it. It's there. If you want to come back, if you want to watch it and come back here to stream, be my guest. Don't worry, I totally get it. So, all right. So it was during this great time of strife and upheaval that the Tau decided, hey, we really need to get the hell you know, we need to expand our territory and secure our territory. So this is when the Ethereal Council renewed and okayed and greenlit the fourth sphere of expansion. And what the fourth sphere of expansion was hinging on was an experimental piece of faster than light technology known as the AL38 Slipstream module, which would allow Tau ships to match Imperial ships in speed when it comes to faster than light travel. Because as I mentioned before, that was the only thing hindering Tau expansion, was the speed of their spaceships, was the speed of their space force. So, Tau Earthcast scientist Kabuto, through years of studying Imperial faster-than-light technology, as well as the wreckage of Kroot war spheres, was able to reverse engineer a module that, in testing, would allow Tau spacecraft to match Imperial spacecraft in terms of faster-than-light speed. Right? Once fitted to a space vessel, the module would create a bubble of antimatter around the ship and propel it at speeds that can pierce the fabric of reality itself. Keep in mind what I just said. Okay? They reverse engineered Imperial faster than light technology. They reversed Imperial warp drives. This would be the Tau's first well and true experience with the horrors of the warp. And it would come at great cost to the Tau Empire as a whole. Initial test flights of the AL-38 Slipstream module were incredibly successful and allowed any vessel equipped with one to traverse the entire span of the Empire within a matter of days, a journey that would previously require months. However, despite Kabuto's warnings, the Council of Ethereals activated thousands of AL-38 modules at Numenor Point. An entire fleet of expansion ships meant to spearhead the fourth sphere of expansion. The resulting mass use of antimatter created a tear in reality that swept the entire fleet away. Gone. Disappeared. To a blink of an eye. In what they saw as an abject failure of the AL-38 program, the Ethereals put a halt to the program. However, decades later, it would be found that Kabuto's invention actually did work. The Tau fleet had not destroyed, but instead had been dispersed across the galaxy, light years, hundreds, thousands of light years away from the Tau homeworld. And the resulting disaster would leave behind a point in space within the Tau Empire known as the Star-Tide Nexus. However, what they didn't realize what they had just done. The Tau Empire and the Tau scientists call it a wormhole, a stable wormhole. They didn't create a wormhole. They created a warp rift. And through that warp rift, because when the Great Rift opened up, it opened the Star-Tide Nexus. It allowed elements of the 4th Expansion Fleet to exit the warp and return to real space. However, what would also happen is that demons and demonic entities would start to flood into Tau space within the Tau Empire through the Startide Nexus. Specifically, elements of the Death Guard. Oh yeah. Papa Nurgle is here to say hi. Papa Nurgle's here to say hi. So what they ended up doing, and here's the funny thing, what they ended up doing was what the Imperium ended up doing around the Eye of Terror. They fortified the entrance to the Startide Nexus. They barricaded it. There's an entire Tau flotilla guarding the Startide Nexus 24/7. And I love what Games Workshop is doing here. Remember when I said Aunva was dead? But Shadow Sun and the Ethereal Council are projecting the fact that he's still alive to keep the Tau Empire together. There is now a great warp rift open in Tau space, which they have blockaded and now guard 24/7. You see what Games Workshop is doing, right? The Tau Empire is now a very dark reflection of the Imperium. Their leader's dead, but the actual leader, the leadership council of the Tau Empire, is pretending he's still alive to keep the Empire together. Like with the Emperor on the Golden Throne of Terra. It's actually kind of brilliant. It's actually kind of brilliant, right? It's actually kind of brilliant. Johnny, hello. How's it going? How are you? Yeah, we're on. We're discussing the Tau today. This is a new episode. It's a brand new episode of Warhammer 40K lore deep dive. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. But yeah, that's why the fourth sphere. That's why the fourth sphere of expansion was such a failure, and why they refused to acknowledge it. So many things went wrong in the fourth sphere of expansion. The Tower just like, that never happened. That didn't happen. What the hell are you talking about? Shut up. That never happens at all. So the one that worked, the one that's currently still going on in the timeline of Warhammer 40K, is the fifth sphere of expansion of the Tau Empire. Right? There is no fourth sphere of expansion. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. So despite protests and despite questions of what exactly happened during the fourth sphere, during the calamities of the fourth sphere campaign, the Tau Empire pushed on. Shadow Sun gathered what forces she had left, and with the blessing of the Ethereal Council, launched the fifth sphere of expansion directly into the Startide Nexus. And it was then that Shadow Sun found remnants and survivors of the fourth sphere expansion fleet, including Commander Surestrike. She would bring them back into real space, back into Tau territory. And as they were trying to figure out what had happened to them, as they were trying to formulate a plan to explore the Startide Nexus to see where the remnants of the Fourth Sphere fleet went, that is when the Death Guard Armada made their presence known at the Startide Nexus. And that is when the battle between Chaos and the Tau first, well and truly, kicked off deep in the Tau's own home territory. Theo, yeah, no, I love that line. Why are you good? You have a bag of beans in you. It's so good. I love that line. Oh, Lord. Okay. Right. So, what was I trying to remember? Yes. It was also during the 5th Sphere expansion that the Great Rift opened, which is why Nurgle and the Death Guard were able to locate the Startide Nexus in the first place. So, despite okay, that's great, but why is that showing up twice? Hello? Thank you for the yeet redeem. Well, at least I know my sound alerts work now. Thank you. But yeah, that is when the Great Rift opened up. That is when Abaddon did his thing on Cadia. Everything fucking happened, and the current state of the Tau Empire is basically they're besieged by orcs, by a rampaging Tyranid Hive fleet, and a Death Guard armada that may or may not be stalking near their borders of the Startide Nexus. Despite all that, somehow Commander Shadowsun has actually managed to take more territory to the north of the Empire. Great for the Tau. Also bad for the Tau, because that just puts them way, way closer to the Great Rift. And believe it or not, the Tau are so full of themselves that they're already planning a 6th Sphere of expansion. They're already planning a 6th expansion fleet. To quote a friend of mine, the Tau have their heads so far up their own asses they can taste their own hair. Tau Empire having a normal one, pretty much. Yeah. Oh my god. So, despite all of their technology, the Tau are just a tiny bit dumb. Because they have so much trust. They put so much trust and faith in their science and technology to overwhelm their foes that they can't. As the old saying goes, they can't see the forest through the trees. They're so dead set on building a better future, building a brighter path for the Tau Empire, that they can't see the immediate threats in front of them. And there is, however, one Tau commander that did see something. He saw something and experienced something so terrible. Something that the ethereal caste on his homeworld did not want to be known to the greater Tau Empire. That he actually led an entire faction to separate themselves from the Tau Empire. Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary friends alike, may I introduce you, and I say this as someone who doesn't play Tau. Let me introduce you to the one Tau commander I respect. Shas Ov Yorla Shova Kais Montir. Commander Oshova, better known as Commander Farsight, leader of the Farsight Enclaves. The Farsight Enclaves are a breakaway sub-faction of the Tau Empire, And I say breakaway because within the enclaves themselves, and this is all the territory that the Farsight enclaves claim, right? Here's the Tau Empire. Here's the entirety of the present Tau Empire. The Neymar Atoll, the greater Tau Empire itself. Here's the Damocles Gulf. Here are the Farsight enclaves. They are entirely a faction. They are a sub-faction unto themselves. The Farsight enclaves were founded by Commander Oshova, by Commander Farsight himself, all the way back when the Farsight expedition began. Ages ago, the 750s of M41. Commander Farsight was chosen to lead this expansionary group. And he came upon the world, an outlier world just beyond the fringe of the Tau Empire, a now infamous world known as Arthas Moloch. Right? So, unbeknownst to the Tau Empire, because all Farsight was told was that this world was wanted by the Tau Empire. The Tau Empire wanted to claim Arthas Moloch itself. However, it was under the control of an orc warlord known as Grog Ironteeth. Which is one of the funniest names for an orc warlord I could ever see. I love it. It's so good. Grog Ironteeth. I love the orcs. I love the orcs. They're so dumb. I love them. Unbeknownst to both of them, however, unbeknownst to both Grog Ironteeth, Commander Farsight, and unbeknownst to the Tau Empire as a whole, Arthas Moloch has history. Arthas Moloch was once under the command of the Alpha Legion Chaos Space Marines. As far back as M39, the Scions of the Emperor Space Marines chapter were charged with and were successful, shall we say, in purging elements of Chaos Mutants and Alpha Legion Chaos Space Marines from Arthas Moloch. They were tasked with purging all elements of the chaos and mutation from the planet. And they were successful. Question mark, maybe. In the underground tombs and labyrinths, however, is where the Alpha Legion hid their greatest relics. And unfortunately, it would neither be the Imperium nor the Alpha Legion, not even the orcs, that would find one of those key relics. It would be, however, Commander Farsight. So, during the war for Arthas Moloch, something happened to Farsight and the group of ethereals that he was leading that no Tau commander would ever want to happen. Right? What had happened was that during the War of Arthas Moloch, the Tau Aircast scientists had discovered what they called the Great Star Dais. which was, and I quote, an 8-pillared temple. A disk of multicolored light began to move in the sky. The disk erupted in a gout of energy, revealing a swarm of horned crimson aliens that would rip the orcs to pieces with their black swords. I don't need to tell you that 8 is a very key element in chaos. The symbol of chaos, undivided, is the 8-pointed star. But 8 is a very important number to a very, very specific chaos god. 8 is the number of Khorne. Crimson-skinned aliens with horns and blackened swords. Oshova, Farsight, didn't find aliens on that planet. He found Khornate bloodletters on that planet. They had just unleashed the forces of Khorne onto the planet. And we all know the one thing. We all know the one thing that Khorne loves. Khorne does not care from where the blood flows. All Khorne cares about is that blood flows at all. So the bloodletters released into real space do what Khornate bloodletters do best. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. They saw thousands, millions of orcs and Tau armed forces going at each other, fighting a massive war. And they just looked at that and they said, oh good. More blood to spill for Lord Khorne, more skulls to line his throne. And what happened, chat, there's no other way I can say this. What happened next was a massacre. Khornate demons, bloodletters, possibly even bloodthirsters, swarmed the planet of Arthas Moloch, killing and butchering any in their path. Didn't care who it was. Orcs, Tau, they didn't care. They eviscerated, they slaughtered everyone on that planet. Right? But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just them. It wasn't just Khorne demons, mind you. After finishing the greenskins, the creatures moved on to the Tau, blasting them with streams of multicolored flames that mutated all it touched into stone, water, or statues of screaming bones. Remember what I said that the number 8? The number 8 isn't just the number of Khorne, the number 8 is the symbol of chaos undivided. Meaning that temple was more than likely not just a temple to Khorne, but a temple to all of the chaos gods. And what happened after the bloodletters butchered, orcs and Tau by the millions, what probably happened next was a flood of Tzeentch Screamers and Tzeentch Flamers pouring through the portal, using their chaos magic and mutating everything they touched. basically what had happened was the Tau had found a chaos portal. And these are horrors that even a seasoned commander like Farsight could not handle, and he just blacked out after having a severe mental breakdown. Right? After Farsight regained consciousness, he began to assess the situation. The good news, the silver lining that just so happened to occur, was that the orcs were now ignoring the Tau. Because the orcs, basically, and if I could put myself in the mindset of an orc at this point, if I could put myself in the mindset of an orc at this point, at this very point in time, thank you for stopping by, Johnny. Have a good night. I hope you have a good one. The orcs at this point look at the Tau and look at this endless stream of demons pouring out from a portal, and now they're just like, well, these aliens over here, no, we're not gonna fight them anymore. That's a more fun fight over there. Let's go over there. It's them chaos boys. It's them spiky chaos boys. We're gonna have a better fight with them than we are with these with the Tau over here. So they were just like, okay. So with the orc forces now ignoring the Tau army, Farsight had a decision to make. He was just like, okay, give me all the data you can, regroup, get everybody together, we're leaving. We need to get the hell out of here. Unfortunately for Farsight, the two ethereals that were with him, Aunlos and Aundiem, were discovered dead. And as a result, mass disorder broke out throughout the Tau ranks. And it was also at this time that the demonic forces decided to also rally together and launch an assault on the Tau positions on Arthas Moloch. Because keep in mind, what they discovered was a demonic portal, a portal into the warp. The demons on Arthas Moloch were basically being supplied with an endless stream of demons from the warp. So they could easily fight a war on two fronts, easily. So while they were keeping the orcs distracted with waves upon waves of Khornate demons, the rest of the demons pouring through the warp took a look at the Tau and just basically went, fresh meat. Let's go play. So, Farsight took command of the situation. Had as many remaining units as he can. Keep the orcs at bay, or at the very least funnel the orcs into the meat grinder that was the demonic portal, the Great Star Dais. Right? Farsight himself, with a core group of his own warriors, which would go on to be known as the Eight, because they were the Eight that survived this disaster on Arthas Moloch with him, found hexagrammic medallions at the temple, which the demons would not even touch and would actually be hurt by. So what does Farsight do? He grafts those hexagrammic wards onto the battlesuits of himself and his warriors to fight back the demons and to try and close the gate. Right? So it was a massive, massive battle that was like against all of Farsight's training. And it was at that moment when Farsight would cement himself as, you know, it was that moment that Farsight would discover the one thing that would set himself on the path to eventually breaking away from the Tau Empire. It was at that point of the battle where Farsight would discover the Dawnblade. This blade of unknown origin would flicker with an unknown energy to Commander Farsight. He did not know from where this blade came from. All he knew was it was at the demonic portal, and the demons were avoiding it, and he didn't know why. But it would cut through demons, metal, and rock as simple as it would be cutting through paper. So he took up the Dawnblade and fought off the rest of the demons. Now here's something I had not mentioned until now. Here's a key thing about Tau war tactics. They hate melee. They don't want to get into melee at all. They hate getting into a fist fight, into melee, into a sword fight, what have you. They absolutely loathe it. Tau battle tactics boil down to one of two paths: Mont-Ka and Kao-Yon. Mont-Ka and Kao-Yon is basically and we'll get to them, we'll get to them shortly, but the path of the patient hunter and, I will, because I can't remember what the other one stands for, but basically, you either wait for the enemy to come to you and then spring the trap with overwhelming firepower, or you use your overwhelming firepower at distance to soften up and destroy the enemy and break them to the point where they offer no resistance. Those are the two different tenets of Tau war strategy. Nowhere does it say that Tau should ever get into a melee, a fist fight, a hand-on-hand combat sort of situation, because they hate doing stuff like that. Not Farsight. He took up this blade and he cut down as many demons as he could find. And he managed to evacuate the planet. His ethereals were dead, but at the very least, managed to save what parts of his forces he could. Farsight suspected that some malevolent force had placed that portal on the planet. Spoilers, yeah, you're about 6 millennia a little too late to figure that out. Oh, Shova. Alpha Legion were there, and the Alpha Legion say hi. What he saw that day would haunt Farsight to this day, right? But he also began to suspect that the Ethereal Council knew of these mysterious dangers and were not telling the Tau populace at all. He would be proven right by that fact. Because the Ethereal Council would call Farsight and any who fought with him on Arthas Moloch back to the homeworld of Tau, because they quote unquote just wanted to talk. We just want to talk. We want you to tell us what you saw. We just want you to tell us what you saw in that world. We just want to talk. We just want to talk about it. Ignore the fact that I'm loading a gun right now. Don't worry about it. Farsight, distrust immediately growing already, said no, which is what led him to break away and form the Farsight enclaves. And here, by the way, that's the Dawnblade. This is how big the bloody thing is, right? This is how big the bloody thing is, right? Here we go. Here's the picture I always have to show. That's Farsight. That's his battlesuit. That's how big the Dawnblade is. This is how big the Dawnblade is. It's fucking massive. It's absolutely fucking massive. Now here's the thing. Here's the thing that not even Farsight knows about the Dawnblade. Right? The Dawnblade has a property that not even Farsight himself knows. The blade is made from chronographic alloys which add a slain foe's remaining natural lifespan to that of its owner. For every person Farsight cuts down in battle, that remainder of their lifespan is added to Farsight's lifespan. Which is why he's been alive for so long. Do you get what I'm saying, chat? He found a Chaos Blade on Arthas Moloch, and has to this day, unbeknownst to him and everyone around him, been wielding a Chaos Blade. But, remember what I said earlier. The Tau have no warp presence. The Tau cannot physically manifest Psykers in their species. That is why the Dawnblade has not corrupted him. It can't. It can't corrupt him because Tau have no warp presence. It's fucking wild. The Tau literally have the one loophole to deal with chaos that the rest of the galaxy wish they had. Also, hi Mikaze, how you doing, buddy? This is why I love Commander Farsight, by the way. This is why I fucking love Commander Farsight. If I were to play Tau at any kind of point, and believe me, at one point I was tempted to play Tau, I would be playing Farsight Enclaves. I wouldn't be playing stock Tau Empire. I would be playing Farsight Enclaves. Why? Because the Farsight Enclaves is the better version of the Tau. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. The Farsight Enclaves are the better, more interesting version of the Tau Empire. And as a side note, I need to show the evolution of Farsight's miniature through the ages. So in third edition, this is what his miniature looked like. Now keep in mind, this was back in third edition, so this was more than likely a hunk of pewter. This thing was probably so heavy you could throw it at somebody's head and more than likely knock him out. In 6th edition is when he finally got a new miniature. Not bad. But the newest miniature that dropped with Arcs of Omen is probably his best miniature to date because, oh my god, that looks amazing. That looks so good. I love how this thing looks. Holy shit. That's great. That's fantastic. I love it. But yeah. And remember also what I said earlier, Oshova was one of the two proteges, one of the two great proteges of the legendary Commander Puretide. His counterpart being Commander Shadowsun, Commander Oshasera. And even her miniature has undergone a bit of a glow up. It went from this to this, which is really cool. Like, honestly, it's really, really nice. I love both of their new miniatures because they both look fantastic. They both look fantastic. Whew. But yeah, That whole thing on Arthas Moloch which would eventually lead to the creation of the Farsight Enclaves is probably my favorite thing about the Tau. And in my opinion, again, probably the most interesting thing about the Tau, shall we say. All right, chat. I'm going to take a very quick break because I need to stretch and hydrate. Y'all stretch and hydrate as well. And then we're going to come back. We're going to come back to this episode of Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive with a look at the other thing that holds Tau society together. And that being their caste system. Because, oh boy, is it ever a rigid caste system. BRB, y'all. All right, chat, we're back. Hello. We are back. We are back. Hello, everyone. Hello, how are you? All right. So, I actually got myself a snack. I got myself some beer-flavored potato chips, and I don't know how the fuck they did it, but they literally got the beer flavor on the potato chips. It's kind of fucking wild. Like, these are really, really good. Okay, so. Yeah, it actually turned out really, really good. I'm not gonna lie. All right. So, where were we? Yes. The caste system. Okay. So, you remember when I mentioned earlier in the stream that the greater good, the concept of the greater good, the quote-unquote greater good. And if I was smart, I would have gotten that clip from Hot Fuzz. I would have gotten that fucking clip from Hot Fuzz on my stream deck right now. The greater good, the greater good. Stop that! Anyway, I digress. Remember when I said that the concept of the greater good is what holds Tau society together? Well, that's what holds Tau society together in a more like diplomatic sense, in a more cultural sense, in a more political sense. What holds Tau society together far more rigidly and far more solidly is their caste system, of which there are 5. Technically 6, but we'll get there. Technically 6, but we'll get there. The 5 main castes of Tau society: fire, earth, water, air, ethereal. Insert your own Avatar The Last Airbender jokes here. Fire castes are the warrior caste of the Tau Empire. They are the ones that make up the basic and most numerous ground force infantry of the Tau Empire, aptly named Fire Warriors. The Fire Warriors are your... With their powers combined, they make an avatar of Cain. God damn it, Makazi. That's good. That's good. That's very good. That's very good. The Fire Caste are their basic ground troops. And it's where they learn to operate weapons such as pulse rifles, railed rifles, pulse carbines, you name it. The ranks of your Fire Warriors are as follows from lowest to highest: Shas Al, Shas La, Shas Wi, Shas Vre, Shas El, and all the way up to Commander Shas O. Tau Fire Warriors from the Fire cast, obviously, are numerous, and it's not just Fire Warriors. They can also operate as Pathfinders, well-known commanders as well. As a matter of fact, actually, there are 3. Not Commander Brightsword. Yes, Shas Oramir, Commander Longknife. Sub-Commander El Miyamoto, also known as Darkstrider, a well-renowned Tau Pathfinder, which are basically the scouts of the Tau Empire. And finally, oh, wrong one. No need to show my search history on stream, Jesus Christ. That'd be terrible. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Tao Shang, Shas La Tao Shang, Commander Longstrike, probably the best Tau tank commander or gunship commander that has ever existed. And it pains me to say this, but Commander Longstrike is best known for one-shotting a Warhound Titan by himself with a Hammerhead gunship. That is the best, and that is the most badass thing, and it pains me to say it. Man one-shot a Warhound. Good God. Huh. But yeah, they are the ones that have their feet on the ground. These are their basic troops within the Fire Caste and the Fire Warriors. The Earth Caste are known as the Engineering. These are the engineers, the artisans, the farmers, the industrialists of the Tau Empire. These are the ones who create and test all of the Tau technology, such as battlesuits. Remember, it was Earth scientist Kabuto who spearheaded the fourth sphere of expansion. The famous Shao On was another battlesuit engineer who created the XV-88 battlesuit. Ovesa is one of Farsight's 8. These, without the Earth Caste, Tau technology as we know it now would probably not function as well. Let's be real here. They're the ones who pioneered drone technology within the Tau Empire, and this bullshit right here is what makes Tau so goddamn difficult to deal with from a tabletop perspective. Okay, side note. Tau drones are probably the most annoying thing to deal with from a tabletop perspective, because if any squad or any Tau unit has a drone, be it a shield drone, a missile drone, a marker drone, a guardian drone, what have you, all Tau drones have the ability to absorb wounds that have been allocated to their unit. For example, if I were to take a shot at Commander Shadow Sun. Remember, Commander Shadow Sun has 2 drones with her. If I were to score, let's say, 3 wounds in Commander Shadow Sun, she can pass those wounds off to either one of her drones, who also have their own saves. Do you see how annoying this can get? So that drone proceeds to take the saves against the 3 wounds. Let's say it fails 2 of them. So it stopped 1, but it still takes 2. It takes 2 wounds. I believe, I don't remember, but I believe that Shadow Sun's drones have something like 4 wounds, 3 or 4 wounds each. So let's say that drone is on its last remaining wound. My original target, Commander Shadow Sun, is still sitting there with her full wounds characteristic and is ready to fire back at me. Do you see how fucking annoying this can get? Every Tau unit has an option to take either a marker drone, a shield drone, a gun drone, or a missile drone with them. Other specialized drones are designated for other more specialized Tau units. But like, battle suits can get drones now. Do you see how annoying this is? Battle suits can take drones now. Like, oh my god. From a tabletop perspective, the most annoying thing to deal with. From an in-universe perspective, drones are what the Earthcast use to get so many of their things done. But also, as I've just mentioned, drones are also a great force multiplier for the other Tau, other elements of the Tau army. Shield drones help shield elements of the Tau military force that they are attached to, be it other squadrons of fire warriors or certain battle suits that they're attached to. Gun drones, literally, it's a gun platform. It's a mobile gun platform, right? Right. Missile drones, it's a heavier gun platform. Marker drones, they're the ones who assist networked marker lights with their targeting arrays to help other elements of the Tau army shoot with higher accuracy. Right? Pulse accelerator drones literally extend the range of Tau pulse weaponry. What the fuck? These things literally extend the effective range of Tau pulse guns. There's even a Remora drone fighter. A drone that is basically its own aircraft. And it's stealthed. God damn it. And probably one of the most annoying Tau drones to deal with, in my personal experience, is the MV-71 sniper drone. Why? Because it's armed with either a long-shot pulse rifle or it can be upgraded to take a rail rifle. You heard me right. It is an infantry portable railgun. The Earthcast, y'all. The fucking Earthcast. You can thank them for all of your drone problems. Oh god, I hate Tau drones. Anyway, moving on. The Aircast are the Tau messengers. But more so than that, in the modern Tau military and society, they are the pilots. Tau spaceships, Tau aircraft, they all fall under the purview of the Tau Aircast. Ground crews, pilots, space admirals, high admirals, and captains within the Tau Navy, they all come from the Tau Aircast, right? The Tau Watercast, as I mentioned before, are probably one of the low-key most dangerous and, you know, rightfully so, of the Tau Empire. And I'm not saying they're dangerous with a weapon. They're not dangerous with a gun. They're not dangerous because of their battle tactics or their military knowledge. No, 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 no. 90% of the time, when the Tau bring another world into the fold of the greater good, into the alliance of the Tau Empire, 90% of the time, they do so without firing a single shot. It's because their watercast ambassadors have used their deadliest weapon to hook another world into joining the Tau Empire. Their deadliest weapon are the words themselves. Because the watercast are the ones who go about the fringes of Tau space, speaking with potential allies, making contacts with potential allies. And the thing is, they do it in the most insidious way possible. They befriend you first. They don't immediately go up to you. They're not like Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't pound on your door at 3 o'clock in the morning like, have you heard the good word of the greater good? No, they don't do that. They are far more insidious than that. They'll make contact with you. They will exchange pleasantries with you. If you need help with anything, they will offer that help with no strings attached. Say you're a mining world on the fringe of Tau space, and your mining equipment is just broken down, and that is the only way for your world to make a profit, to make a living, to sustain its population, is by exporting the minerals on your world to, the wider galaxy. But now your mining equipment's broken. What the hell are you gonna do? You can't get a message out to the Imperium because all of the communications lanes are down because of the Great Rift. What are you gonna do? Here comes the Tau Watercast ambassador, just like, we've intercepted your message for aid. We are preparing to send you aid and to help you repair your mining equipment. Our Earthcast engineers will arrive on your world tomorrow morning, and we will help you get your equipment back up and running. And to your surprise, it happens. These seemingly benevolent aliens have come to your world and helped you repair your mining equipment much faster than the Imperium of Man could have ever done it. And what do they ask for in return? Absolutely nothing. All they ask for is just an open line of communication. That's all. So you think to yourself, fine, all right, you know what? They helped us get back up and running. They helped us get back on our feet. It's fine, whatever. That's where they hook you. That's where they hook you. Because the next thing you know, you're talking to them about literally everything and everything else under the sun. How to better increase the productivity of your mines. How to make living conditions on your world just so much better. Oh, here's how we do it on our home world of Tau. Maybe some of these examples can be used on your world to help your populace live a better and more fruitful life. Wow, that sounds great. Can you tell me more? What's your homeworld like? Next thing you know, the governor and the populace are breaking away from the Imperium, and the Tau Empire just got a new colony world. Congratulations, you've been taken by the sway of the Watercast. The Tau Empire have just gotten a brand new world into their fold, and they didn't have to fire a single shot. They didn't have to send a single fire warrior to conquer your world. You did it willingly. That's how insidious the Tau Watercast are. All right. Tau Watercast, yeah, son, exactly. Tau Watercast are low-key the Asari from Mass Effect. You're absolutely right. Hey, yo, what is this, Scientology? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. The fifth and most important caste within the Tau caste system are the Ethereal Caste. The Ethereal Caste is what holds the Tau Empire politically, dogmatically, and philosophically together. The Ethereal Caste is what controls the other 4 members of the caste system of the Tau Empire. They are what lead the rest of the Tau Empire with an iron fist. Now, I mentioned before that the Ethereals seemingly, during the Tau Civil War, millennia upon millennia ago, seemingly came out of nowhere. And it's really interesting. It's also kind of very confusing because, like, okay, how in the hell did, this seemingly random and out of place group of Tau come to such power in such a short amount of time? There's a theory behind that. One of the leading theories was that the Ethereals somehow have such a great psychic influence over the rest of the Tau race that they're literally just mind controlling them. And that was the leading theory until it was discovered that the Tau have no warp presence. Ergo, being psychic as a Tau is literally impossible. Because you need to have a reflection in the warp to channel psychic energy in the first place, right? So now, Imperial xenobiologists are thinking to themselves, how in the hell do the Ethereals have such an iron grip over the rest of the Tau populace? The leading theory? Pheromones. You heard me right. Pheromones. So, if you've noticed, throughout all of the helmetless pictures of the Tau, you see directly in the center of their forehead is this ridge, this gap, it looks like, right? That's supposedly where that's where their nose is supposed to be. On Ethereals, it is far, far, far more pronounced. And as a matter of fact, with some Ethereals, like, where are you, Onva? There you are. With some Ethereals, like Onva himself, you know, before he got ganked by an Imperial Kulexis assassin, you really can't see it, but let me see if I can find a better picture. Nope, he's got a Space Pope hat on in that one. With Aunva, that duct in his forehead had 3 slits instead of just 1. There's strong implication that those are sensory organs in the Tau, and the Ethereals exude a strong pheromone that bends all other Tau to their own will. Which is why Farsight, when he discovered the Dawnblade, the Ethereals that were with him, that had gone with him to Arthas Moloch, were dead. Their pheromone connection had been severed. Right? The connection to his Ethereals had been severed. Farsight, probably for the first time in his entire life, was thinking clearly and on his own. So that's the leading theory as to why the Ethereals have such an iron grip on Tau society as a whole. Literal pheromones. Literal pheromones. But literally, like, that's the thing too, by the way. The Imperium and other races within the galaxy have figured out very, 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 very quickly that an Ethereal is present with a Tau military force. All they have to do is kill the Ethereal. Once the Ethereal is dead, Tau military cohesion breaks down entirely. They don't know what to do. Their tactics have gone. They can't fight back because they're too busy mourning the loss of their ethereal. They basically become easy pickings for the rest of the enemy army. So they have figured out, the Imperium especially, have figured out very, very quickly, if there's an ethereal on the field, kill it. Because then Tau military structure crumbles. The ethereals are both the biggest strength and the greatest weakness of the Tau military structure. And by extension, Tau society as a whole. Remember, Aun Va is dead. Shadow Sun and the Ethereal Council know Aun Va, the spiritual and, leader of the Tau Empire as a whole, is dead. He was assassinated. But they're using pre-recorded holographic messages of Aun Va to project, for lack of a better term, the image that Aun Va is still alive and is still leading the Tau Empire. Because if word got out that Aun Va was dead, the Tau Empire as we know it would probably crumble into anarchy. They would probably crumble into anarchy. That is how much of a boon and a detriment ethereals are to Tau society as a whole. So those are the 5 main castes of the Tau Empire. There is one unofficial caste, but it's sort of a catch-all term that includes non-Tau races that have sworn allegiance to the Tau Empire. They're Tau auxiliaries. And what the Tau auxiliaries are a list of races that have aligned themselves with the Tau Empire. The Demiurge, the Domati, the Galg, the Greet, the Guevesa, the Hernian, the Gitrax, the Kroot, the Malkor, the Nikasar, the Malkor, aka the Vespids. Tons of alien races have sworn allegiance to the Tau Empire and have been helping the Tau Empire in one way or another. However, and Makazi, you're the Imperial Guard player here. I know this is going to make you mad. The Guevesa are what the Tau refer to as their human helpers. Humans, often Imperial Guard units, who have deserted the Imperial cult and the Imperial Guard army to join with the Tau and to serve as Tau auxiliary soldiers. For all intents and purposes, in the eyes of Imperial society, they're traitors. They've turned their back on the Imperial Creed to join this basically an alien hippie cult out in the eastern fringe of the galaxy. Excuse me, I had to go purge some heretics. So they will undergo Tau military training. They will, to the best of their ability, and I'll get there soon enough, to their best of their ability, will integrate themselves into Tau society and will actually, be trained in learning how to utilize weapons such as pulse rifles and pulse carbines and undergo Tau military doctrine training, stuff like that. Here's where things don't get so rosy for humans who decide to throw their lot in with the greater good. It's been noticed that once a human colony does happen to join the greater good and the Tau Empire, birth rates within the human section of the Tau Empire decline rapidly. It has neither been confirmed nor denied, but rumors abound that Tau, shall we say, limit the amount of human offspring born within their borders, just in case an Imperial assault enters that area, and all of a sudden their Guevesa soldiers decide, hey, you know, about joining the greater good? Just kidding. Haha, lol. Go over here now with the Imperium. So the tower just like, no, stop that. Which is why Guevesa auxiliaries are only ever trained as fire warriors. They're never trained to pilot Tau machinery. They're never trained to pilot Tau gunships, tanks. God forbid they train them to pilot a Tau battlesuit. Absolutely not. For all intents and purposes, Guevesa auxiliaries are a part of the greater good, but at the same time are seen as fairly expendable to the higher echelons of Tau military hierarchy. And although, just saying, you know who doesn't treat his Guevesa auxiliaries that way? Commander Farsight. Just throwing that out there. Commander Farsight doesn't do you dirty. And again, if I were playing Tau, I'd play Farsight Enclaves. Once again, the better version of the Tau Empire. The Vespid are another one of the alien races. Probably one of the more well-known alien auxiliary races to the Tau Empire. Because what the Vespid serve as... they serve as fast-moving shock troops for Tau military incursions. Because of their wings, they move very, very quickly. Let's zoom in on their. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, these groups of Vespids are known as Stingwing strains. And the ones with the helmets are called strain leaders, because that helmet serves as a translation device between the Vespid leader and their Tau allies. Without it, they would not be able to understand one another, because their languages are just that different. They're given experimental disruptor technology. And these disruptor weapons are very, very good at destroying or disassembling enemy armor and enemy vehicles. But the Tau Earthcast couldn't figure out a way to stabilize the crystal that creates the disruption beam, or the disruption pulse. But what they very quickly discovered is that the frequency at which Vespid wings flap creates an ultrasonic frequency that naturally stabilizes the disruption crystal within these weapons. Which is why the Vespids use them. So they're shock troops. They're fast shock troops that have weapons that just so happen to just shred enemy armor. It's kind of terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. Probably the most well-known and most numerous ally to the Tau Empire, because they were the first ones to join the Tau Empire, are the Kroot. Krutis aviana, more commonly known as Kroot carnivores. And the reason they're known as Kroot carnivores is because they will eat the remnants of anybody they kill in battle. In Kroot culture, if you consume the blood and the flesh and the heart of a foe you kill in battle, you directly absorb their strength and their fighting spirit, and thusly make yourself a stronger, better, faster warrior. Which has led to some very awkward situations. Kroot Shapers, which are the Kroot battle leaders, have had to tell their squads of Kroot carnivores to not eat the flesh of Nurgle worshippers or plague marines. Because why would you want to eat that? Need I remind you, when you first pledge yourself to Nurgle, the very first thing Papa Nurgle does is infect you with every single disease that's known to mankind at once at the same time. That is the very first thing he does. So it is a standing rule now among Kroot Shapers to stop their Kroot packs from consuming the flesh of Nurgle worshippers. Because bad things happen. Bad things happen. So the Kroot Shapers. The Kroot Shapers not only are battle leaders, they're basically kind of like shamans as well within Kroot society. Kroot Shapers serve another role within Kroot society. They help Kroot evolution. Because what happens, and as a result of consuming the flesh of those who they defeat, Kroot DNA, Kroot physiology can change on a whim and very quickly. And it's the Kroot Shapers that determine or shape the different types of combat and biological evolutions that their Kroot fellows can undergo. So, for example, the Kroot Hounds are bestial, four-legged, and more like hounds, like war dogs than the normal Kroot. Krootoks are these hulking behemoths that are much stronger, albeit slower, than the normal Kroots or even the Kroot Hounds, but are much more capable of lugging heavier things, like heavier guns into battle. Here is a better instance of Kroot evolution or shaping in action. You can the Kroot can be shaped to have wings in order to fly, have fins and gills to adapt to an aquatic environment, give themselves more muscle mass and a thicker skeletal frame on higher gravity planets or to deal with tougher enemies. Give themselves scales and horns to deal with more, let's say, desert environments. Kroot are very much like a jack of all trades within Tau society. And as a matter of fact, there are some Kroot who believe themselves to be on par with, if not better than, their Tau allies. And one Kroot believed that so much that back in the day, you could actually choose him as an HQ choice for your army. And what that would do is allow you to field not a Tau army, but a Kroot-only army. I wish they would bring this person back. This is the Kroot Master Shaper known as Angor Proc. He was considered the greatest Kroot Shaper and greatest Kroot warrior to ever live. Because he was the one who first, on behalf of the Kroot species, pledged allegiance to help the Tau and become one of their first of many allies. But Angkor Proc, Angkor Proc, and to a lesser extent, the rest of the Kroot society, they consider themselves allies to the Tau. What they don't consider themselves as are members of the greater good, right? They'll fight for the concept of the greater good. They'll do so as long as they're paid. As long as the tenets of their alliance with the Tau Empire hold up, right? They'll continue to do that as long as the Tau hold up their own end of the bargain. Ergo, yes. So, there are many different Tau, or species rather, that pledged service to the Tau and help the Tau by giving them some sort of new battle tactic or even technology, right? For example, the Jitrix and the Nikasar are the ones who help Tau species, or help Tau spaceships move through deep space. And it's the Nikasar specifically whose ships offer almost faster than light travel. Because remember, the last time Tau tried to emulate Imperial warp drives, they lost their entire fucking fleet. The fourth sphere of expansion happened despite what the Tau ethereal cast would have you believe. The Nikasar ships do have very, very fast engine drives on their ship. It's not quite faster than light travel, but it's fast enough to get Tau military elements and spacefaring vessels from point A to point B as fast as they need to, right? There is one very specific alien ally to the Tau that I would like to point out. Because were it not for this specific ally, that I don't think the Tau would ever know technologies such as rail weaponry, ion weaponry, pulse weaponry, the Demiurge. Or should I call them by their real name? The Votan. Let me explain something. Years ago, the Demiurge were a short, semi-humanoid race of traders and miners that allied themselves with the Tau Empire. They also just so happened to have some of the most advanced technology the Tau had ever seen. And in exchange for an open lanes of trade and communication and shipping, the Demiurge allowed the Tau to reverse engineer and copy aspects of their technology, namely railgun and pulse technology. It has since been revealed that the Demiurge are not their own race of aliens. However, they are a prospect. They are a member of the newest / oldest army in Warhammer 40K, the Leagues of Votan. AKA, for all of you old Warhammer 40K heads like me, the Squats. The Space Dwarves. That's right. The Tau can thank the Votan, aka the Squats, for their technology to create railguns. Because guess what? They did it first. The Squats, the Demiurge, the Votan, however you call them, they were the ones who created railgun technology in the first place, who perfected railgun technology in the first place. The Tau just copied their homework. So in a roundabout way, in a roundabout way, since the Votann, aka the Squats, were descendants from human mining colonies all the way back in the Golden Age, in a very, very roundabout, confusing way, the Tau can thank humanity for railgun technology. You're fucking welcome. So, let me also just clarify something. The Leagues of Votann as a whole are not allied with the Tau Empire. The Demiurge, or probably that code name that they just gave the Tau, are a prospect, a group, sort of like a hold, if I'm using the Dwarvish comparison. They are a member of the Votann race as a whole, but instead are just sort of like a group, an offshoot of the Votann, who just so happen to find the Tau and, trade with them, trade technology back and forth, which just so happened to the Tau learning how to make railguns for themselves. But yes, an offshoot of the Votann are allied as the Demiurge to the Tau race. It's wild. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, the Tau auxiliaries are many and varied, honestly. So, unfortunately, Games Workshop has not made many miniatures for these on the tabletop to field with your Tau army. The only two that you can legally field with your Tau army are the Kroot and the Vespid, aka the Malkor. And honestly, if you want my opinion, I don't know current Tau tactics, but on the tabletop, Kroot are way more useful than the Vespid are. Kroot are way more useful than the Vespid are, I'm just saying. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think it's time. To talk about probably the one thing that people love and also love to hate about the Tau army as a whole in terms of the tabletop. Friends, do you like Gundams? Because that's basically what Tau battle suits are. They're Gundams. They are in the 40K sense, Gundams. Because the examples I know the best are Imperial Knights and Space Marine Dreadnoughts. Space Marine Dreadnoughts function with a mortally wounded Space Marine kept in suspended animation and hardwired to a walker chassis that is fitted with all sorts of weaponry that it can still use its battle tactics and knowledge of ancient times of this chapter to aid the rest of the Space Marines from a nigh impregnable, almost impregnable war suit, right? You got me excited for a second. Thought we'd gone on a tangent and started talking about Paragon war suits. I wish. I wish. The other example I know best are the Imperial Knights, where the Knight pilot is hardwired into the throne mechanicum to pilot the Knight from within. The Tau kind of have that a little bit better in a sense. Tau battle suits is what we're talking about. So, this is probably the most iconic piece of technology, both in lore and on a tabletop sense, that the Tau are most well known for. The suits themselves come in very different sizes, but the trick to the battle suits is that they can be loaded out with any sort of really any sort of mission parameter in mind. Because they could be loaded out with anti-tank weaponry, anti-infantry weaponry, chaff weaponry, literally a suit and weapons loadout for any occasion. That is what makes them so flexible. That is what makes them so dangerous. Right? Now, the different types of battle suits out there range from single-person battle suits to heavier set battle suits to the more iconic battle suits such as the XV-88, the XV-8, the XV-88, the XV-86, the XV-9s, all the way up to the larger ones, such as the XV-104, the 107, and the 109, the KV-128, all the way up to the absolutely ridiculously massive KX-139 Taunar Supremacy Armor Battlesuit. We'll get there. We'll get to this monstrosity, don't worry. Starting from the smallest is the XV-02 Pilot Battlesuit. Simply put, these are small battlesuits worn by Tau pilots and Tau battleship commanders to better interface with the systems of the ship that they are currently commanding. Tank Ace Commander Longstrike wears one of these, and it's what gives him such ridiculous accuracy commanding any sort of Tau battlesuit, no, not battlesuit, sorry, but Tau battleship that he is put in charge of. Most iconically, the Tau Hammerhead. And actually, yeah, you can see it here. You can see the XV-02 suit in action. All of the data interfaces are fed through the suit and fed to Longstrike himself directly, so he can command the ship much easier, more fluidly, literally like a second skin. The stealth battle suits are probably some of the most annoying battle suits that the Tau can field. The XV-15 have jump packs, or should I say jet packs, as well as stealth generators to help them infiltrate behind enemy lines. The XV-22 stealth, or rather stalker battlesuit, is the one that is currently worn by Commander Shadowsun. The XV-25 is a larger and heavier armed stealth battlesuit that can carry heavier weapons, such as fusion blasters. Yes, they have a stealth unit that has a dedicated anti-tank weapon. As a Space Marine player, I hate that. As a Space Marine player, I absolutely fucking hate that. And there's the rather large XV-95 Ghost Keel battlesuit, which is, yeah, a suit that big has stealth capability. It can infiltrate. It can also carry something like a cyclic ion blaster. A stealth suit that big can infiltrate because it has a stealth generator. God, I hate facing the Tau sometimes. God damn it, I hate facing the Tau sometimes. The XV-46 is a specifically void deep space kitted battlesuit, which you will only really ever see in the lore. There's no tabletop equivalent to this. You really only see these in the lore. They serve as like repair units to help repair and or bodyguard units for deep space Tau missions. Probably the most iconic battlesuit of the Tau military line are the Crisis battlesuits, the XV-8 line. These are the most iconic one-person battlesuits to that the Tau military can field. These are the ones that you can swap whatever weapon system you want. You give them flamers, missile pods, pulse rifles, rail guns, cyclic ion blasters. These are the battle suits that I've become synonymous with the Tau Empire. The XV8 line is the one that also has the most differing variations. The XV802, or Iridium battlesuit, as piloted by Commander Dawnstar. The XV81 Crisis battlesuit, specifically for more heavily armed versions of Tau commanders that can be placed in Crisis battlesuits. The XV84, equipped with onboard marker light and target lock systems. The XV85 is an upgraded Enforcer class battlesuit, which basically takes the XV8 chassis and just upgrades everything. Fielding esoteric technology like stable plasma rifles, fusion blasters, air burst fragmentation projectors. The XV86, or Cold Star battlesuit, takes the XV85 and just upgrades it even further, because the XV86s are the ones that are solely set aside for Tau commanders only. These are the ones that have onboard holophoton countermeasures. Chef, what the fuck did you just mean? Literal holographic projectors. Literal holographic projectors that make them harder to hit and harder to target. You see why I hate facing these things? God damn it. The XV88 has a category all its own because they trade the mobility. They trade the mobility of the XV85 and the XV81 with sheer firepower, because the XV88 are the ones you can mount missiles and rail guns to. These things are annoying. These things are the one that sit on the back line and snipe out targets in your army with precision fire of railguns and Tau marker light technology from half a battlefield away, and I hate it. And I hate it. Because literally, you load them up with 1, 2, 3, 4 missile pods and 2 railguns, and it's just like, why? They're literally a walking armament. Just, I hate it to death. Seriously. Annoying. Absolutely annoying as heck. Railguns taking more notes. You stop that, Warlock. You stop that, Warlock. Now we get to the more specialized battlesuits of the Tau Empire. The XV9 is an experimental upgrade to the XV8 series. These are close support armor. These are the ones that are meant to get in a lot closer and ergo have more experimental, more powerful but closer range weaponry, such as the fusion cascades and the phased ion guns. They pack a punch, but their range is severely limited because of their short range. And because of their short range and limited usefulness, the jetpack on the XV9 has bigger fuel tanks and a bigger range, which means these guys can just jump in much closer, much quicker. The XV104, the Riptide battlesuit, is a pain in the ass, because this thing is massive. The Riptide battlesuit is meant to be the next progression from the XV88 line of battlesuits. However, the XV104 basically takes the weapons loadout and weapons capacity of the XV88, but also gives it the mobility of the XV8 the 8 series of Crisis battlesuits because, yeah, this monstrosity has jetpacks. Oh, yeah. This thing has jetpacks as well. And oh, would you look at that? They get access to drones, too. God, I hate facing these things. There was a time in 7th edition where, like, you could deep strike one of these with a squadron of other Crisis battlesuits anywhere on the board. And if you didn't guard your flank well enough, say goodbye to your backline. 7th edition was like the golden age of Tau and like Crisis suit tech on the tabletop. Oh yeah. There's a reason why I didn't play a lot during 7th edition. Anyway. Anyway. The next battlesuit up from that is the XV-107 and the 109, offshoots of the 104. The Ivarna and the Ivarha. The XV-107 sacrifices mobility for heavier firepower and heavier armor. Yeah, you see those guns, those are mean. The XV-109, on the other hand, the Ivarha, is more equipped for shock assaults. So it's not that heavily armored, but it moves very, very quickly, and it hits very, very hard before jumping out of enemy range. Like that's what is one of the weapons that the Ivarha can carry? Phased plasma flamers. Yeah, I hate that thing. And now we get to the 2 biggest battle suits in the Tau armory. The XV-128 Storm Surge. I don't even need to say anything. Just look at the bloody loadout of this. Look how many missiles that can carry. Look at the massive cannon on its right shoulder as well. Oh, yeah. This thing can go toe-to-toe with an Imperial Knight in terms of sheer firepower. But it's not even the biggest battlesuit that the Tau have access to. That honor goes to this nightmare. The KX-139 Tau Nar Supremacy Battle Armor. Those 3 cannons. First of all, I need you to see how big this is. There's your normal Tau warrior. There's the Tau Nar Supremacy Armor. Infantry, battlesuit. Infantry, battlesuit. Canonically, within the lore of the Tau, canonically, those cannons can fire from the surface of a planet and hit a target in outer space. That's how powerful this thing is. Then you've got the giant ion cannons here with the missiles, and probably the bane of Imperial players everywhere because that is just a heavy rail cannon. Oh dear God. Battlesuit technology. The thing the Tau are most known for and probably also most feared for. Ooh, Jesus. I need to take a drink. Hold on a second. Yeah. Oh. Pardon me, excuse me. All right. That is pretty much, and I think I've covered everything we need to cover in terms of the Tau Empire. All right, fantastic. That will bring to a close this episode of Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive. Thank you everyone so much for hanging out with me tonight. That was fun, honestly. As broken as the Tau Empire are in terms of the tabletop, they are still one of the younger races in the 40K universe. And I honestly, like I said, like I've been mentioning off and on, if I were to play the Tau, I would more than likely be playing Farsight Enclaves because screw the normal Tau Empire, they suck. Just gonna throw that out there. Thank you everyone for coming out to this episode and this stream. I do appreciate it. VOD will be on the YouTube channel tomorrow. I just gotta do some editing to break this down for YouTube. And then the next episode of Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive, I think we're done. Talking about Xenos races for a while. So I think it's time to jump back to an Imperial faction. A very specific Imperial faction. A very, shall we say, fiery Imperial faction. The next time we jump into an episode of Warhammer 40K Lore Deep Dive, we will be talking about the Sisters of Battle. Honestly, one of my favorite Imperial factions in terms of both lore and on tabletop. Like, legitimately. They're an all-female army of space nuns in battle armor. Alright? That fucking rules. That absolutely fucking rules. That's just really good. To me, I think that's just really, really good. Those thighs save lives. Oh, Makazi, you are absolutely correct, dude. You are absolutely correct.